Who is he, Halima?
Ho!
Don't pretend. The calls, the messages. I see the way you sneak out at night. I'm not a fool.
So now you're spying on me? Musa, are you even listening to yourself?
I've given you everything. Is this how you repay me? With secrets and lies?
You don't own me, Musa. I'm tired of living in this cage. Maybe if you paid more attention to me.
The sun rose gently over the quiet neighborhood, casting a golden hue through the windows of Musa and Halima's home. Inside, Halima moved gracefully about the kitchen, the aroma of freshly fried akara and spicy stew filling the air. She wore a simple but elegant wrapper, her hair tied up, her beauty undeniable, but her eyes distant, thoughtful. Musa, tall and broad-shouldered, strode into the kitchen, his face lighting up as he took in the scene. "Halima, this your akara smells like heaven today," he exclaimed, settling at the table with a broad smile. Halima forced a smile, setting a steaming plate before him. "You know I learned from the best. Eat before it gets cold," she said, her voice light, but her gaze averted. Musa studied her for a moment, his brow knitting with concern. "You are quiet this morning, my dear. Everything all right?" "Just thinking about work, nothing serious," Halima replied quickly, brushing a stray lock of hair from her face. She busied herself with the dishes, avoiding his searching eyes. After breakfast, Musa stepped outside, greeted by the familiar sight of his best friend, Sani, who leaned against the gate, arms folded. Sani was sharp-eyed, always alert, with a mischievous grin that rarely left his lips. "Oga Musa, you don't dey enjoy you. See as your wife dey glow every day," Sani teased, slapping Musa on the back. Musa laughed. "Abeg, leave me, Sani. Halima is a blessing. I thank God every day." Sani's gaze drifted to the window, where Halima waved politely. For a fleeting moment, suspicion flickered in his eyes. Elsewhere in the compound, two neighbors, Mama Tayo and Auntie Risi, swept the sandy ground and exchanged knowing looks. "That Halima, she too fine. But these Lagos girls, eh? You must open eye," Mama Tayo whispered. Auntie Risi shook her head. "Now wow, Musa is lucky. But I dey watch that woman, something dey in her body." Back inside, Halima sat alone on the edge of the bed, staring at her phone. A flirty message popped up, "Miss you already." Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, a battle raging in her mind. She typed a reply, hesitated, then deleted it, clutching the phone to her chest as guilt washed over her. That evening, Musa returned home earlier than usual. Halima, startled, quickly shoved her phone beneath a pillow. Musa noticed but said nothing, his eyes lingering on her with a mix of love and growing doubt. Later that night, as Musa slept soundly, Halima slipped out of bed, her heart pounding. She typed a message into her phone. "Tomorrow, usual place." The screen's glow reflected the turmoil in her eyes. The next day, Musa and Sani sat at a roadside bar, the hum of traffic and laughter of strangers around them. "Guy, make you dey check your woman well. This world don't change you," Sani cautioned, swelling his drink. Musa's jaw tightened. "Halima is loyal. I trust her." Sani nodded, unconvinced. "Just open your eye, Musa. Sometimes the people we trust the most." Night fell over the Musa household. Shadows deepened around the house. Unbeknownst to the couple, a solitary figure lingered in the darkness outside, watching silently as the lights dimmed and the neighborhood slipped into an easy sleep. In every perfect family, a secret can shatter the peace. But who is watching Halima? Is her secret truly safe, or is it the beginning of something far more dangerous? The story is only beginning.
Musa sat on the edge of the bed, his brows furrowed as he scrolled through Halima's phone. She had left it charging in the living room, and temptation overcame his trust. He found a trail of unsaved numbers and cryptic messages, nothing explicit but enough to stir unease in his heart. When Halima entered and saw him with her phone, her face froze for a split second before she forced a smile. "You're already checking my phone, Musa?" Halima tried to sound amused, but her voice wavered. Musa managed a chuckle, masking his concern. "Ah, my dear, I was just checking the time." Halima took the phone, clutching it tightly, her back turned as she fiddled with the charger. The silence stretched between them like a thin sheet of glass, ready to shatter at the slightest touch. Later, Musa confided in Sani during a walk through the busy market street. The air was thick with the calls of traders and the scent of roasted corn, but Musa's mind was elsewhere. "I dey suspect my wife, Sani. She dey hide something. The way she protect that phone, it get as it dey be," Musa whispered, eyes darting around. Sani's expression grew serious. "I've been watching, Musa. Some nights, I see a strange car parked down the road, and once I saw Halima talking to a man I don't know by the corner." Musa's jaw clenched. "Who is he? You see his face?" Sani shook his head. "He get cap, face no clear. Musa, I no trust all these quiet moves." That evening, Halima met with her lover in a hidden spot behind the old church. The man's face remained in shadows, but his voice was soft and intimate. "You know I can't live without you, Halima, but we have to be careful." Halima nodded, her voice trembling. "Musa is getting suspicious. I don't want trouble." Her lover stroked her cheek. "We'll be safe. Just trust me." As they parted ways, a figure watched from the darkness, unseen by either of them. The watcher's breath steamed in the cool night air, eyes narrowed in silent judgment. Back at home, Musa and Halima's arguments grew more frequent and bitter. Simple misunderstandings flared into shouting matches. Halima slammed doors. Musa drank more than usual. The neighbors whispered, their gossip growing wilder with each passing day. Unknown to the couple, someone kept watch outside their house each night, a silhouette blending into the shadows, never moving, never speaking, but always there. The tension in the Musa home was palpable, like the still air before a storm. Halima's secrets pressed in from every side, and Musa's trust was cracking. But who was the stranger in the dark, and how much longer could this fragile peace last?
The storms that brewed in the Musa household finally broke. It began with a silence so sharp it could wound, and ended with words that could never be taken back. Halima had barely touched her dinner. She sat at the edge of the table, eyes fixed on her phone, her mind clearly elsewhere. Musa watched her, jaw tight, fingers drumming on the wood. The air between them was thick and charged. "Who is he, Halima?" Musa's voice was low but trembled with anger. Halima looked up, startled. "Who?" she replied, her voice cold with denial. "Don't pretend. The calls, the messages, I see the way you sneak out at night. I'm not a fool." Musa's hand slammed on the table, making the plates rattle. Halima's eyes flashed. "So now you're spying on me? Musa, are you even listening to yourself?" "I've given you everything," Musa cracked. "Is this how you repay me? With secrets and lies?" Halima stood up properly, her chair scraping back. "You don't own me, Musa. I'm tired of living in this cage. Maybe if you paid more attention to me." Their voices rose, overlapping, spilling anger and pain into the small room. Outside, the neighbors paused, listening. Some drew closer to their windows, others whispered in the shadows. The shouting grew louder, accusations flying like daggers. Halima's words cut deep, and Musa's rage ignited. In a flash of fury, Musa swept his plate to the floor, the crash echoing through the house. Halima stormed away, slamming the bedroom door behind her as Musa collapsed in exhaustion, his breath ragged, eyes brimming with tears. Later that night, the house was eerily quiet. Halima lay awake, staring at the ceiling, guilt and anger warring inside her. Musa's heavy breathing from the living room was the only sign he was still there. Suddenly, a scream pierced the silence. The neighbors rushed out, lanterns and torches lighting up the compound. Inside the Musa house, Halima stood, frozen in the hallway. At her feet lay Musa, motionless, blood pooling on the tiles. A wave of panic swept through the crowd that gathered. Sani burst through the door, eyes wide in shock. Halima, trembling, dropped to her knees beside her husband, her hands stained crimson. "I didn't do this," she cried, her voice wild with terror. "I swear, I didn't do this." The police arrived in a flurry of questions and flashing lights. They found Halima sobbing beside Musa's body, her nightgown splattered with blood, her hands shaking uncontrollably. As the crowd pressed in and the officers sealed the scene, whispers began to spread through the night air. Was Halima guilty? What had happened between husband and wife? And most chilling of all, was someone else in the house that night? The neighborhood would never sleep easy again.
Dawn found the Musa house ringed by police tape and a crowd of restless onlookers. Halima sat on the front steps, her nightgown still stained with Musa's blood. Her hands trembled as an officer led her to a waiting police car. Sani watched from the edge of the crowd, face drawn and pale, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. At the station, Halima faced a stark interrogation room. The lead detective, Inspector Bello, leaned forward, voice calm but unyielding. "Madam Halima, tell us again what happened last night." Halima's voice quavered. "We fought. I went to the bedroom. I heard a sound, like something falling. When I came out, Musa he was already on the floor." Tears streaked her face as she relived the moment. Inspector Bello pushed a folder across the table. "We found your fingerprint on the knife. You had motive, an affair. Neighbors heard the fighting. Where were you when Musa died?" Halima's head snapped up, eyes wide with disbelief. "I didn't kill him. I swear I didn't." Meanwhile, Sani was called in for questioning. In the cramped interview room, he fidgeted as questions flew. "What did you hear that night? Did you see anyone entering or leaving?" Sani recounted what he knew, but the detective's probing soon moved to his own relationship with the deceased. "You and Musa, did you have any disagreement lately?" asked a female officer. Sani's jaw clenched. "No. Musa was my brother. I loved him." Back in the neighborhood, rumors spread like wildfire. Some swore Halima was innocent, that she was just a victim of circumstance. Others whispered about her secret lover, convinced that passion had turned to murder. The entire community divided, old friends becoming fierce accusers or reluctant defenders. Meanwhile, Halima's alleged lover was nowhere to be found. The police tried his number, searched for his car, but it was as if he had vanished into thin air. Every clue seemed to point back to Halima, her fingerprints, her late-night messages, her bitter quarrels with Musa. Even Sani's alibi was shaky. He claimed to have been home, but no one could vouch for him. Halima's lawyer, a determined woman named Barrister Zainab, pressed Inspector Bello hard. "You have evidence, but do you have the truth? Too many questions remain. Who else was in that house? Why did Musa die the way he did?" Inspector Bello only frowned, unconvinced. "We'll find out. Someone is hiding something, and we will get to the bottom of it." As the sun set, Halima stared through the bars of her cell, fear gripping her heart. In the shadows outside, someone watched the police station, unseen. Someone who knew more than anyone suspected. Days blurred into nights as Halima languished in her cell. The world outside swirling with questions and suspicion. Inside the police station,
Inspector Bello pored over the case file again and again, frustration mounting. The evidence was there, but the pieces didn't quite fit. A new forensic report arrived. The crime scene team had found a muddy footprint by the back door, smaller than Musa's, different from Halima's. The print matched neither of their shoes. Bello frowned. Who else was in the house that night? Meanwhile, Barrister Zainab, Halima's lawyer, pressed for a fresh look at the case. Inspector, you've built your case on motive and opportunity, but what about this footprint and the missing lover? You can't convict my client on suspicion alone. Reluctantly, Bello allowed a new round of interviews. Sani was brought in again, his eyes now shadowed and tired. He insisted he was at home, but his alibi was shaky. His neighbor, old Baba Sule, had been out of town. Sani's hands trembled as he answered, I swear, I no leave my house. I only came out when I heard people shouting. But Sani's behavior grew more peculiar. He avoided the police, dodged neighbors, and at night was seen wandering the street talking to himself. Back in her cell, Halima remembered a detail she had almost forgotten. On the night of the murder, she'd heard the back door creak long after Musa had collapsed. She told Barrister Zainab, who immediately informed the police. The detectives returned to the crime scene, scouring every inch. They discovered a woman's gold earring near the back door, a design Halima had never worn. The neighborhood grapevine buzzed with new theories. Some whispered that Musa had enemies. Others wondered if Sani was hiding something. Inspector Bello called a meeting. We have more questions than answers. Halima's lover is missing. Sani's story has holes, and now a new footprint and an earring. The truth is hiding in plain sight. But where? That night, as the city slept, a shadowy figure crept through the darkness, slipping a blood-stained handkerchief into a storm drain, vanishing before the first rays of morning sun. Rumors grew like wildfire. Did Halima's lover return to tie up loose ends? Was Sani jealous or desperate? Or did Musa have a secret none of them had ever known? The courthouse was packed, the air heavy with curiosity and judgment. Neighbors, friends, and strangers all pressed in, eager to have a glimpse of Halima, the woman accused of killing her husband. Halima stood in the dock, head held high, but hands trembling, her eyes seeking any friendly face in the crowd. Barrister Zainab rose, her voice firm. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, my client is not a murderer. There are too many questions and too many missing pieces. She glanced at Halima, then at the judge. We demand the truth, not just a conviction. The prosecution wasted no time. They paraded neighbors who testified to the couple's fierce arguments, the late-night screams, the rumors of Halima's affair. Each word chipped away at Halima's hope. The gold earring, the muddy footprint, the missing lover, all were presented, but the prosecutor painted them as desperate distractions. Sani stood the stand. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he gave his account. I was at home. I only heard shouting after it happened. The prosecutor leaned in. But nobody saw you that night, Sani. Why did you avoid the police after Musa's death? Sani stammered, eyes darting toward Halima. I was scared. I didn't want trouble. Halima's heart pounded as she took the stand. She described the fight, Musa's anger and her own pain, and how she'd found him lying on the floor. I didn't kill my husband. I loved him, even when things got hard. Her voice wavered, but some jurors seemed moved. Arguments grew fierce as the days passed. Witnesses contradicted each other. One neighbor claimed to have seen a strange woman near the house that night. Another insisted it was Sani.
The judge often had to quiet the courtroom as tempers flared. Just as the trial seemed to reach a breaking point, a new piece of evidence surfaced. Musa's phone records showing secret late-night calls to an unknown number, one that did not belong to Halima or her lover. Rumors began to swirl about Musa's own secrets, his business dealings, and his hidden debts. Outside, the community split even further. Some still called for Halima's punishment, convinced she was guilty by the weight of suspicion. Others began to wonder if the real killer was still free, hiding in plain sight. As closing arguments finished, Barrister Zainab turned to the jury. Look beyond the gossip, the fear, and the easy answers. Musa's death was a tragedy, but Halima deserves the truth. The judge's gavel fell, but the truth remained elusive. The jury retired, and Halima was led away in handcuffs, her fate hanging in balance.
The cell was cold and narrow, its walls closing in tighter with each passing day. Halima lay awake on the hard metal bunk, replaying the night of Musa's death over and over in her mind. Even after the trial, no clear answers came, only more questions and a growing sense of despair. Prison life was harsh. The other inmates eyed Halima with suspicion, some whispering about the infamous husband killer. But one woman, Aisha, extended a hand of friendship. Aisha was quiet, her eyes kind but shadowed by her own secrets. She listened to Halima's story and offered gentle advice. In this place, truth is a weapon, but it can also set you free if you are brave enough to wield it. One rainy afternoon, Sani visited the prison. His face was haggard, his eyes red-shot. He sat across from Halima in the visitor's room, the glass between them reflecting their shared pain. "Why are you here, Sani?" Halima asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know anymore," Sani said, his voice cracking. "I keep thinking, if I had done something differently, maybe Musa would still be alive. I'm sorry, Halima, I really am." But his words left Halima uneasy. There was something he wasn't saying. Days later, news swept through the prison. Musa had another lover, a woman named Amaka. The revelation stunned everyone, including Halima. Amaka had vanished shortly after Musa's death, leaving behind only questions. Was she the missing piece, or just another shadow in a house full of secrets? Aisha revealed something that made Halima's blood run cold. "I knew Amaka on the outside. She was desperate for money. She would do anything for it. One night, she told me she was involved in something dangerous, but she never said what." Halima clung to hope as Barrister Zainab pressed for the case to be reopened. The police began to look at Musa's life anew. His debts, his secret calls, his hidden affair. The more they uncovered, the less certain Halima's guilt became. Every night, Halima stared through the barred window, praying for freedom and for the truth. The question haunted her. If not me, then who? And why did they want Musa dead?
Rain lashed the prison yard, drumming on the tin roof and leaking through cracks in the ceiling. Halima sat with Aisha on a battered bench, her mind swelling with confusion and hope. The news about Amaka had turned everything upside down. She pressed Aisha for details. "Aisha, what else do you know about Amaka and Musa?" Halima whispered, desperate. Aisha hesitated, then spoke softly. "Amaka told me she was scared, said someone was threatening her. She didn't say who, but she was sure Musa was hiding something. She said if anything happened to her, it wouldn't be an accident." Meanwhile, outside the prison walls, Inspector Bello and Barrister Zainab dug deeper into Musa's life. They discovered that Musa's business troubles ran deeper than anyone suspected. He owed money to dangerous people, and his hidden late-night calls were to an anonymous number traced to a burner phone. Sani, too, was unraveling. He drank alone in his cramped apartment, haunted by memories. One evening, as he stared into the darkness, a memory surfaced. On the night of the murder, he'd seen a shadow slip out of Musa's back door. He'd convinced himself it was just a dream, but now he wasn't so sure. The police reopened the case. They questioned neighbors again, and a new witness came forward, a night guard who remembered seeing a woman matching Amaka's description near the Musa house that fateful night. The tension in the community reached a fever pitch. Some began to believe Halima might truly be innocent. Halima's heart raced as Aisha pressed a folded note into her hand. "This came for you," she whispered. Halima unfolded it, her hands trembling. Scrawled in a shaky hand were the words, "The truth is closer than you think. Trust no one." That night, Halima lay awake, her mind burning with questions. Who killed Musa? And why? Was Amaka still alive? Was Sani more involved than he let on? The truth was close, just out of reach. But one thing was certain. Halima would not rest until the real killer was unmasked. The city buzzed with rumors as the reopened case made headlines. Inspector Bello walked late into the night, piecing together evidence that now pointed in every direction but Halima's. The breakthrough came unexpectedly. A neighbor's security camera, previously dismissed, was finally reviewed in detail. What it revealed changed everything. The footage showed Musa's house on the night of his death. In the grainy video, a woman in a scarf, her face partly hidden, entered through the back. Moments later, another figure, taller and moving with urgency, followed. Though hard to see, the gait and build resembled Sani. Barrister Zainab pressed for the footage to be shown in court. The judge agreed, and the tension in the room was electric as the video played. Halima watched, breathless, as the truth began to unravel before everyone's eyes. Sani was called to the stand. Under the glare of questioning, cracks appeared in his story. He admitted to being near Musa's house that night, claiming he wanted to check on his friend after their argument. But why had he lied? Why hadn't he come forward sooner? Just then, another bombshell dropped. The police had traced the burner phone used for the late-night calls to Amaka. But Amaka had not acted alone. It turned out Musa had been blackmailed over his business debts, and Sani, desperate for money and resentful of Musa's success, had gotten involved. In a dramatic confession, Sani broke down. He admitted to confronting Musa that night, but insisted he never meant for things to go so far. Amaka, meanwhile, had tried to confront Musa for her own reasons, and in the chaos, Musa was killed. The truth was tangled, but one thing was clear. Halima was innocent. The courtroom erupted in shock and disbelief. Halima wept, relief and sorrow mixing in her tears. The real story was finally coming to light, but the pain of betrayal lingered. The judge ordered Halima's release, and Sani was led away in handcuffs, his face a mask of regret. The day Halima walked out of prison, the sky was washed in gold. She paused at the gates, free but forever changed. The crowd that had once gathered to judge her was now waiting with mixed emotions. Some offered apologies, others stared in awkward silence, and a few simply bowed their heads, unable to meet her gaze. Barrister Zainab greeted Halima with a warm embrace. "You are free, Halima. The truth is out, and your spirit survived it all." Tears slipped down Halima's cheeks, tears of joy, sorrow, and hard-won relief.
News of Sani's confession and Amaka's involvement spread. The community buzzed with disbelief and regret. Some neighbors who had shunned Halima now reached out, while others stayed away, unable to face the consequences of their own gossip. Halima forgave those who sought it, her heart heavy but open. Sani, now behind bars, sent a letter from his prison cell. In it, he confessed his jealousy and shame, asking Halima for forgiveness. She read it quietly, tears tracing her jaw, and whispered, "May God forgive you, Sani, and may He heal us all." Halima returned to her home. The rooms felt emptier, yet the air was lighter. She opened the windows, let in the sunlight, and began to reclaim her life. With Barrister Zainab's encouragement, she started volunteering at a women's shelter, helping others find strength in the face of injustice.